Hello and welcome to another video. It's been a long time since I've said that. How is everybody doing? Apologies for how long I've been away, and also apologies if the camera gradually changes shot. It's on the most ridiculous setup I've ever had in my life. It's sitting on top of a mug. Um, yeah, just thank you for everybody who's still watching. I've seen that there's a few more subs. God only knows what they think's going on. Because nothing's come up for the last month or two. It is just as we all know with the hobbyist tubing that life has got in the way of sorting things out. I've had to be prepping to sit my exams. I can very happily report that I have passed my written exam for my business admin apprenticeship that I'm working on in my current job. And I've got my spoken exam next week. So thank you for everybody who's been patiently hanging on for new content. Um, just want to say a big thank you to everybody I've been chatting via their videos and such like that, where I've had a chance to. And big thank you to Cojones Deloro for trying to help me out with the Game Boy thing. I'm sorry our socials don't sort of match up with each other, but one thing I'm hoping to do actually is actually get out to some events once everything with the job and everything kind of finalises itself, and hopefully we find another place that we can move into. So hopefully I'll be able to actually, meet up with some people, which would be nice. So maybe we can meet up that way at a market or something. Anywho, on with the show, such as it is. As it's been like, I don't know, a month or two since I did a vid, and I'm still waiting to sit down and fiddle around with the mic for recording game footage. I thought I'd do a quick pickups because I've still got to carry on doing like prep for the orals for this apprenticeship next week. I thought I'd just do some pickups quickly, and I thought I'd focus on like the cartridge stuff because I picked up a bit of cartridge stuff. I picked up a bit of like disc stuff. It's been a kind of like, ooh, look at that! That's available at a decent price. I'll have that. I'll get one of them. So I'm still doing the Game Boy Color thing to an extent, but it's kind of ground a bit to a halt because I remember as I started doing it, something tweaked that reminded me why I kind of stopped doing it a while back, and that's just like out of any of the systems I have, and this is you'll laugh at this because I'm a PS2 man, but there's an awful lot of rubbish on the Game Boy Color. It's just hit a funny kind of period where like I think because it came out during like the Pokemon craze basically, and there were an awful lot of naff Pokemon clones on it. Um, so that being said, though, I've been able to pick up some cool stuff for it. So without further ado, picked up Army Men Air Combat. Now I do like the Army Men series. I know it gets quite a bit of stick, but I'm a bit of a mark for 3DO, and that's actually I haven't played a lot of it because when I realised it was going to be a bit more complicated than I thought it was going to be, I sort of thought it was like, right, I'll sit down and play that properly when I have a chance. But it's kind of like a sort of cutesy Desert Strike, which I wasn't expecting. I thought it'd just be like a horizontal shooter or a vertical shooter or something, there's something fairly straightforward, but it's pretty in depth. So I'm going to sit down and have a proper play of that probably once the exam stuff's gone over and such like. The next one is X-Men Mutant Academy. Very much kind of similar beast to the Mutant Academy games on the PlayStation 1. And I can't remember if it's Mutant Academy on the PlayStation 2, but there is like an X-Men fighting game on PlayStation 2. So that's cutified 2D fight. It's very difficult. I will say that it is very difficult. I wouldn't like to blow my own trumpet, but I play a lot of fighters, and I would like to say I'm all right at fighters. I get my arse handed to me if I went to a tournament or something, but I'm all right at fighters. But I did find that That's one of those games where like you kicking the computer's backside for like the whole match, and then it just pulls out like this instant hellish death touch at the end and pokes you, and you get to go or lose all your health. It's a bit like that. So I don't know how much I'll be playing that, but it seems all right other than that. So give it another whirl. Another 3DO title, World Destruction League Thunder Tanks, which is effectively Battle Tanks 2. I would say if you're going to pick up either of them and you only want to get one of them, get Battle Tanks and see if you like that, because this to me is Battle Tanks with slightly improved graphics, although they're very similar. Slightly improved graphics, but harder difficulty, and there's no obvious sign of where your objectives are, which makes it quite difficult to avoid getting killed trying to find out where you're supposed to be going on it. So decent, but not as good as Battle Tanks, and I think Battle Tanks is easier to find as well. So I would go with Battle Tanks first if you were going to go down that direction with your Game Boy Color selections. And last but definitely not least, this is definitely the best of this pack of GBC games. And that is Micromaniacs. Never sure if people can actually see the cartridges on these things because they're so small, and they're so small in comparison to the camera as well. But so Micromaniacs is kind of like, we had the Micro Machines demos when we were kids, but Micromaniacs is the one that I really sat down and spent a lot of time with on the PlayStation 1, and this is absolutely brilliant. Really good game. I was really shocked how good this is, because I was expecting it to kind of be, there's a lot of cack-handed ports on handhelds. This is not one of them. This is like RC Pro-Am on foot. Can't go wrong with that. Very good game. So really impressed with that, and looking forward to sitting down and getting to grips with that even more as my schedule frees itself up a bit more. So the other cart stuff I'm going to have a look at is some Master System stuff. I know I said I was out of the game. There is no such thing as me being out of the Master System game unless I end up with a full collection, which ain't going to happen because I'm not buying mad stuff like Power Strike 2 or Martial Masters or whatever it is, that fighting game that's only got 4 characters that everybody wants about sort of 600 quid for. Not happening. But, and again, I will save the best to last on this, but I do have a game here that I am so chuffed to have, and it's probably not one that's really big on lots of people's radars, but it is a kind of like, it's a late game and it's difficult to find a copy of, and a lot of them are in Europe and people want crazy money for them and to send them over and whatever. So anyhow, first off though, Klax. I'm a big Atari Midway arcade game type fan, and I've been trying to get the any of the ports I can get my hands on for the Master System, so it's great to have Klax, and actually I like this more than the arcade game. Controversial, but I just enjoy it a lot more. The sound's a bit odd on it, but it's not anything to do with like the cart being bad or anything like that. It's just the way it's coded. I mean, it's a Domark game, and people blow hot and cold about Domark all the time. Not the most consistent company in the world, but what happens with this is that the music is really quiet, but the sound is really loud, so it's a bit odd. But really plays a really good game of Klax, and actually, like I say, I enjoyed this a lot more than the arcade version, so quids in on that. Speaking of Midway arcade games, the next one I am so chuffed to get hold of, that is a Rampage, and I will be playing this to death, and already have. This is one of my favourite Midway arcade games, and the Master System version is no slouch whatsoever. Funny story with this, this is actually in a Mega Drive box. The reason it's in a Mega Drive box is because it was in a Master System box, but the Master System box I knew had some damage to it. And like everybody's worst nightmare happened when I opened it. It turned out that the bit of the perspex that the inlay goes in, which was where there was some damage, had somehow, Lord only knows how, because it wasn't like this when it was. I knew the guy packed it really well. I'd seen the photos. I knew there was some damage, but what seemed to have happened was it had sort of buffeted around in the van or something, and managed to get like the corner that was torn caught inside a fold of the wrapping, and it pulled the thing all the way up here. So I was like, I know that's not the guy's fault, so I'm not gonna like start an argy-bargy sending that away. I've got some spare boxes, so I was just gonna put it into one of the spare boxes. But it turned out I only had spare Mega Drive boxes, which is they're more or less fine for Master System, but you know, it's a bit of a squeeze. This is in there proper tight, but fantastic port. Really enjoying this. Played a lot of that. And finally, the game that I'm really excited to finally have, and I know it's not like, you know, it's not super heavy hitter, blah, 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 blah. But I have been looking for Bram Stoker's blooming Dracula on the Master System for nearly 4 years. 4 years, man and boy. Trying to find a copy of this that wasn't wrecked, that wasn't, and I could afford, and I wasn't like, I ain't paying that. What do you want about? It's just, it's just movie time. Yeah, and it's really good. It's yeah, it's well. I mean, I say it's well worth picking up. I don't want anybody to have to deal with the amount of waiting and poking around eBay and looking forlornly around CEX and such. Like I had to go through to get this, but it is really good. It's quite difficult, but it is really good fun. It's kind of like if somebody fixed all the problems with Shadow the Beast, was the way I felt about it, kind of with a bit of Prince of Persia as well. Yeah, fantastic. And absolutely chuffed to bits with this. It's complete. And I don't normally care about whether things are complete or not, because I mean the Master System's got 2 buttons. You don't play the manual, and you know, it's nice to get things complete if you can. But I get things to play. I'm not like, completist or anything like that, but to actually end up with that complete in great nick after all the waiting and high trying to find a copy, bang on. So yeah, so thank you for everybody to everybody who's hung around. I will be posting more frequently once life calms down a bit. I do have the ongoing problem in this space that I'm a die of heat exhaustion if I don't have a fan on during the summer, especially if it's like last summer. So I'll probably be recording like early morning or late night when I can, rather than like in the day like this. Anywho, thank you very much for watching, and as always, take care of yourselves and hope you're all well. Peace out.